Hello, hello, hello. To all my replay crew, this is a live stream, so I will be waiting just a second for a couple people to join up. We will be watching Dee Dee Blanchard's trial today. Ooh, these are dirty. All right, we're on the road to 1K, everybody. We're on the road. Ooh, that's loud. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We're going to be watching Dee Dee Blanchard's trial today. Let me turn this music down because it's really loud in my headphones. I don't know how loud it is for you guys. It makes it hard for me to concentrate. I do like having a little music in the background. I feel like it's nice, but it's just kind of loud in my headphones. It's too distracting. It's too distracting, guys. It's like way too distracting. Let me see. How is everyone's day going today? Emily, hi, how are you? Lindsay, hi, how are you guys? Hey, how are you guys? I hope you guys are enjoying your beautiful Tuesdays. Well, it's not Tuesday, hang on. Your beautiful Wednesdays. Your beautiful Wednesdays. I hope you guys are enjoying your beautiful Wednesdays today. You're awesome? That's great to hear. It's great to hear. Cleaning these because they just get so dirty. They're blue light glasses. They're supposed to help with all the screen time, but I don't know if they really do or not. Hang on, I want to pull up my stream and just take a look at it because I've never seen it from the other side. 1 second. Okay, yeah, now I can definitely see how it looks. Okay, so it's okay, yeah, now I can definitely see how it looks. Okay, so it's okay, yeah, now I can definitely see how it looks. Okay, so it's okay, yeah, now I can definitely see how it looks. Okay. I just wanted to see how it would look from a perspective of someone coming into the chat. My day is going good. My day is going good. I just want to get these Dee Dee Blanchard's murder trial. People said they wanted to see that, so I'm going to go ahead and watch that. We're going to start from the beginning of this law and crime playlist, and we're just going to go down. We're just going to go down, and I'm going to spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours going through. We can stop, we can reflect, and we can do all those good things. My shirt is just so like, I love this shirt, but it's just so loose and looks so washed up. Okay. All right. So let's lock in, everybody. All right. Let me turn this music off and we're going to get started. Let's lock in. All right. Oopsie doopsie. Here we go.
Wayne Perry, attorney for Mr. Godejohn.
Andrew Mead, attorney for Mr. Godejohn.
All right. Last night, there was a series of things filed. I've received them via email. I've looked through them. Mr. Perry, have you seen them?
I have.
All right. Let's take up perhaps the easiest ones first. The state has filed a motion to amend the felony information against Mr. Godejohn. It looks like there's two changes. One is the spelling of, and the other is the cause of death. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that it's no longer joint information as the original.
That's correct. Miss Gypsy Blanchard was charged initially, and It now just lists Mr. Nicholas Godejohn. Any objection to that, Mr. Perry?
No, Judge, I think he also eliminated language that said by stabbing her and cutting her, I believe originally said.
Yes.
So we have no objection. I mean, it does kind of affect our instructions, so I have to redo.
When the sawdust settles
Oh,
and the
goodness.
engine finally roars.
Sorry, guys. We're on YouTube.
Because I was kind of using that language. That's no big deal.
All right.
But I have
And
no
this,
objection to the motion.
and this conforms to what I think is on the death certificate, stabbing versus stabbing as cut and cutting, as I recall. Okay, so we'll show the amended information being filed. The court case is at an elevated security level. A copy will be made available to the media if they want to see the amended charge. All right, then the defense has filed a motion in limine. That was filed, I guess, on Friday. The state has filed a response as to paragraph 6. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. In the defense motion, the paragraphs did deal with different topic areas, and so we'll probably be alternating some of the arguments. We did file written response to the one paragraph.
Okay, let's go through the motion in limine then. Paragraph 1. Well, not paragraph 1. The first motion in limine, which is stated in paragraph 2, is getting into whether or not the public defender's office was representing the defendant. I'm assuming the state has no objection to that. Paragraph 3 is also experts hired by the public defender's office. I'm assuming you have no objection to that.
It's relevant whether an expert has worked for one party or the other party. Specific to the public defender's office, I agree, but with regard to whether the expert has worked for the state or the defense, that is certainly relevant.
Oh, I would agree with that. I just don't want you to be mentioning that for public defender's office. Paragraph 4, sexual misconduct. This is sort of a area that I'm not aware of. Are you getting into sexual misconduct?
It's very broad, Judge. I guess a lot would depend on what's classified as misconduct. To give the court a little background, there certainly is going to be evidence of a sexual relationship between the defendant and co-defendant, Gypsy Blanchard, and specifically, there are a series of text messages that start about 2 weeks prior to the murder and go all the way up till the defendant is standing at the door. And there's a lot of discussion mixed in with the planning of the murder. There's sexual conversations that are mixed in that are not removable from that content. It also, the nature of it goes to show the nature of the relationship also in terms of who was more controlling, who was more dominant between the defendant and Gypsy, which will be relevant in this case. In addition, there's will be testimony from the defendant's confession, specifically that he had considered raping the victim, Claudine Blanchard, but ultimately decided not to. That obviously goes to his deliberation, his reflection, and that he and Gypsy have sex after the murder. Again, going to his mindset and of events that can't be removed, and it is relevant to ultimately the dynamic between both the defendant and Gypsy Blanchard is.
Okay, I'll give him that. The sexual part of it is relevant. I'll give this attorney that much of it. It's relevant, right? So we can't discredit what he's saying. Of course, it's very relevant. It's rampant throughout the relationship. It's rampant throughout the text messages. It's very, very, very relevant. Guys, if you're just joining, I see we have 5 viewers. Make sure to hit that like button on the stream. And if you like content like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers, guys. So make sure to hit that like button, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and make sure to type your comments down below. The comments down below. And next to the comments, Lindsay, I know you were looking for the super chat. There's a circle, and then there should be a $sign in it. That is the super chat function. So I have 2 videos on my channel. Both of them are on the 7M documentary on Netflix. If y'all want to go check those out and give those a big thumbs up as well, that would be greatly appreciated. Let's continue.
Well as his deliberation, his mindset. I don't know, because it's not specified in the motion what the defense is specifically seeking to learn. So all I can do is inform the court that's what the state's evidence will be, and then I suppose I can reply when I hear what the defense is trying to specifically keep out, if any of that is involved.
All right. Mr. Perry, are there specific instances?
Yeah, Judge, the most notable thing that we are asking the court to exclude or be irrelevant is this discussion that he has just referenced in Mr. Godejohn's statement to law enforcement, in which she asked him on a couple occasions about having sex with the victim and whether he thought about raping her. There's a couple places where she sort of keeps bringing it up. Matter of fact, when you listen to the tape and you watch the tape, you'll see this ongoing discussion about his sex life, both with Gypsy and other people, as well as the fact that he supposedly considered raping the victim. I just don't see how what one considers committing, when one considers committing a crime that's not the crime charged, how that's relevant. He may have considered a lot of things. That does not prove that he killed her after deliberation. And so what happens is the officer asked him initially, early on, if he had sex with her after she died. And he said, no, he didn't. And they have a discussion of what that would be. Then later on in the interrogation, again, this is an interrogation on whether or not he killed her, she asked him if he considered raping her and thought about raping her. And he did, after questioning the officer, make some statement along the lines that I thought about it, but I didn't do it. And then she asked him repeatedly, will we find your DNA? Will it find any semen? Stuff like that. And he said, no, you won't, because I didn't do that. That's not relevant. What's relevant is why he went in there, and did he kill her? Did he kill her with after deliberation? That's what's relevant in this case. With regard to some of the other stuff, there's quite a bit of discussion in some of the things about sexual activities between him and Gypsy. I don't have any objection to the state introducing evidence that Gypsy and he had sex both right after this happened, plus on another occasion. I think that is relevant. I think it goes to her level of sophistication and goes to a lot of things along that line. What I object to is the evidence being introduced that he considered raping the victim, because that is not relevant. And the fact that he considered doing something somehow is now evidence against him. Plus, there's quite a bit of discussion between he and Gypsy about rape fantasies and things along that lines, which, by her own admission, were all consensual. They both kind of engaged in this rape fantasy. They talked extensively about rape, and it was just, to them, it was a fantasy. And she even had at one point made a statement that right after the murder, he raped her.
He makes a point. He's basically saying, like, they kind of have that little kink going on, and it's not relevant to bring up certain details about Nick wanting to sexually assault Dee Dee in this trial. That's not relevant. I mean, I feel differently, but hey, I'm not a judge, but I feel differently. I feel like it's relevant. It's very relevant. Especially since you know the dynamic that he and Gypsy has. So you can use that. You can use that for his defense, or you can use that against him. Honestly, you can use that for his defense, or you can use it against him. But I do, in my opinion, feel it's relevant. Will the judge take that? I don't know. The judge has to take it the way he takes it. But welcome, Kimberly. Welcome, Lindsay. Welcome, Emily. You guys, don't be shy. Drop a comment down below. Hit the like button and hit that subscribe button. We are reacting to D.D. Blanchard's murder trial. Nicholas Godejohn is the one that is on trial right now here, and we are on the law and crime. I'm sorry, guys. We're on the law and crime playlist, and we are just going down the playlist. And we're just going to watch the videos one by one. I'm going to chime in, give my thoughts on the material that we're reviewing, and just give it a good comb over. Give the content a good comb over. We are on the road to 1K. So I'm trying to do it in this live stream. So guys, I need you guys to like, comment, share, do whatever you can to get this video out there and other videos out there. I will talk about other videos because I talk about other things outside of Gypsy Rose. I talk about scandals. I talk about cults, documentaries, things like that. Things to get your brain moving and brain working. I really like documentaries. I really like things like this. So I did do 2 videos on the 7M cult. So if you guys want to check those out, those are the latest 2. I have 1 more to do. And I'll be moving on to Scott Peterson as well. But we will be going through this because somebody said that they wanted to see this murder trial. So we'll be going through this on live. And we probably won't get through it all today, but I will come back. Maybe tomorrow. I'm not completely sure, but maybe tomorrow we'll come back and go through it and see how much we can get through of this murder trial.
She's actually said that on national TV. She now admits that's not true, that he did, that it was consensual sex, and it always was consensual sex. So my request is that evidence of pornography, which I think there is in some of the police reports, quite a bit of evidence about pornography usage, that has nothing to do with this case. Evidence that he had considered raping the victim has nothing to do with this case. And I would ask that that part be excluded from the tape. And then any evidence of the rape fantasies between the 2 of them, unless it's made explicitly clear that that's just a fantasy between a couple, and that's all that was. So that's the basis of my motion.
Well, before we got to this point today, I had asked the parties to sit down and come up with an agreed upon excerpt of the confession tape. And it was my understanding that everybody had agreed upon this will be the segment we're going to play. And now I'm hearing, no, we don't want part of it. So are we going to have to go in and revise this?
Well, Judge, I believe what you asked is initially the argument was some of the excluded portions of the tape, and whether I was going to ask to include some of those. And that's what I told Judge. I have no objection to the part that's being excluded. I specifically said to Dan, I told him that I objected to this, and he wouldn't agree to that. That's why we're having this issue.
I wish we had this issue several days ago. It would be a little easier for
Every month, this Airbnb pays me in semi-passive income. Now, here's the thing. I don't.
the jury who's sitting down there cooling their heels.
Judge, if I may respond, I think it isn't, I don't think it should be an issue because what in a case of first degree murder that involves premeditation, what the defendant considered is 100% relevant, specific to the crime. The fact that the defendant himself, prior to murdering Claudine Blanchard, considered doing other acts to her as part of the murder is literally what we very rarely have in a murder case, which is direct evidence of premeditation. He is describing his reflection and his deliberation. In addition, one of the issues in this case will be the defendant's ability to deliberate, and the fact that he's making statements that he considered it and ultimately decided not to because he believed killing her was enough shows that he understands what he's doing and he has the ability to understand and ultimately not rape her. In addition, the defense knows, as we have taken Gypsy's deposition in regard to that matter, that Gypsy's going to testify that she was aware of the defendant's idea or plan to rape Claudine, and it will be her testimony that she made an agreement with the defendant that he could rape her after the murder as long as the defendant didn't rape Claudine. So again, this all is part of their premeditation and deliberation. And just because it's not charged, if it doesn't matter. It's part of the defendant's consideration going into this.
I'm sorry, but that sounds like a bunch of bullshit. That sounds like a bunch of bullshit. This prosecutor's, it just sounds like a bunch of bullshit. He's lying now. Can we listen to that one more time? It sounds like a bunch of bullshit. Don't lie to me. Hold on. One more time.
The murder, as long as the defendant didn't rape Claudine. So again, plan to rape Claudine, and it will be her testimony that she made an agreement with the defendant that he could rape her after the murder as long as the defendant didn't rape Claudine. So again, this all is part of their premeditation and deliberation. And just because it's not charged, if it doesn't matter. It's part of the defendant's consideration going into this crime. Because it's terrible doesn't mean the defendant gets to distance himself from it when he admits it. He admits that he considered it. We're not introducing evidence that on some other occasion he thought about raping Claudine, or on some other occasion he thought about raping someone else. We're talking about his statement of what he considered and deliberated on for this murder.
I'm going to allow that testimony to come in. Mr. Perry, if you want some type of limiting instruction, I will consider it. All right, paragraph 5. Statements that Gypsy Blanchard has told the truth. I think that's really up to the jury to decide, isn't it?
And Your Honor, I believe what Mr. Perry's referencing here is that during the interview, the detective, as part of getting the defendant to open up and talk about what happened, makes some statements to him that, Gypsy's telling the truth, you need to tell the truth. Obviously, the state, just like any interview, there's lots of statements made by a detective that would be considered hearsay or otherwise comments on credibility. The state's not introducing that statement during the interview for the truth. It is part of the interview, and it is part of what ultimately allows the defendant to open up and talk about what's happened. So that's just basic interview techniques that are on in almost every interview.
So this was the preliminary when the detective first came in and was trying to get him to open up.
It's a little different than what Mr. Chapman just said. My objection is not necessarily the hearsay aspect of it. My objection is that she lies to Mr. Godejohn. And she says, Gypsy's told us the truth. Gypsy had not told her. And the officer knew that when she told him that. So what I'm asking is either that it is.
What did I tell you guys? What did I tell you guys when we were going over Nick's interrogation? When she was like, are you gonna just let Gypsy take the fall? Gypsy already told us what happened. Like, she basically backed Nick into a wall, knowing damn well Gypsy hadn't told him anything. And she was able to get a confession out of him that way. And I mean, she didn't break any laws. She lied. like I said, it's not a crime to lie, but again, they want to remove that from evidence because she was being deceitful in her way of gathering that evidence, right? Is that what he's getting at? Let's see.
Or I'd be able to introduce, at least insofar as the officer knew Gypsy had not told the truth and that she was lying to Mr. Godejohn. That's all I'm asking. Either to exclude it altogether, or if it is introduced, I can ask the officer, did you know that Gypsy had not told the truth? And were you lying to Mr. Godejohn when you told him she had told the truth? It's a law enforcement trick. We know that. And they do it all the time. They lie to suspects to try to get them to say they committed a crime. I just want to be able to make that clear to the jury, because otherwise the jury's left with a false impression. The false impression, which is what a trial is supposed to try to avoid, that Gypsy had told the truth. And Gypsy had not. So that's all I want to do is clarify that for the jury so they know Gypsy didn't tell the truth.
Well, in the past, I have routinely allowed cross-examination on detectives' interview techniques. I think that's an appropriate line of inquiry.
I would agree with that.
All right, Mr. Perry.
All right, and that's fine. Thank you.
Does that take care of it then?
Yes, that takes care of that.
Paragraph number 6. That's where you're wanting to exclude Dr. Denny from testifying. And so the record's clear on this. I want to make sure that I'm not misstating anything. This case was assigned to another judge before me. And that judge is the one who entered most of these orders concerning the psychological issues, including the admissibility of the psychological testimony. As I recall, Mr. Patterson, after Mr. Perry raised the issue of diminished capacity, you filed a motion before Judge Holden to conduct an examination of Mr. Godejohn. And I believe if you had not yet received Mr. Perry's experts' information, you at least had a summary of what it was about. And that was back, for some reason I'm thinking maybe in December or so, but you didn't file it under 552, which I think everybody's in agreement that the Carruthers case specifically prohibits a 552 type examination. You requested it under the alternative, actually suggested by the concurring opinion,
Yes.
which is under the rule for good cause shown, which the Court of Appeals concurring opinion, that would be Judge Sullivan, said would be an option that one could proceed under. As I understand it, have I stated this correct at this point?
Yes, sir. Just to give a little bit further background, this case was actually set for trial in front of Judge Holden. And very close in time to that trial, the defense moved to endorse Dr. Franks as an exhibit, and we filed an objection to the late endorsement of that witness. Then we had the offer of proof. Judge Holden ruled that he would allow the testimony. At that point, I filed our motion under Rule 25 for good cause shown for a state examination. On December 20th, or 22nd of 2016, the defense agreed to the granting of that motion.
Well, and that was a question I had because there is a docket entry showing Mr. Perry, I believe it says with joint consent, something to that extent.
It says sustained by agreement, because there were discussions at the time of the late endorsement, because we all understood the pretty settled state of Missouri law at that time. There was an agreement that because of the late endorsement, it'd be necessary to continue the trial, so the state could obtain its mental examination under Rule 25, and then that motion was granted by agreement, and then ultimately, after Dr. Denny did his exam, the state moved to endorse him, and he was endorsed without objection by the defense.
Now, I see would that be a correct?
That is, Judge. Also remember, The Carruthers case didn't exist at the time, and I really had no case law that
So basically what they're going through right now, they're going through their motions. So they're going through what can be included in evidence, what can't be included in evidence, what they can say to the jury, what they can't say to the jury, things of that nature. I just want to play it because it may be relevant to something we may hear, and Law and Crime included it in their playlist, so it's definitely relevant somehow. So, with that being said, everybody in here, I want you to make sure to like the stream and hit me with that subscription. Guys, please, please, please give me a subscription. I'm on the way to 1K. So, if you guys could like and hit me with that subscription, I'd really, really, really appreciate it. Also, guys, I dropped 2 videos on the 7M documentary on Netflix. It's about this really interesting TikTok cult. If you guys haven't heard about it, it's really interesting. So the trial motions is a lot of jargon, but I think it's important to get through just to understand what can and can't be included in evidence. Okay. So there's about 10 more minutes of motions.
that would have permitted me to successfully argue the state didn't get to do it. So, I mean, you got to look at it from my context at the time. However, the case law came down interpreting the law that was in existence at the time. And Carruthers case came down and said that the state's not allowed to do that. Now, remember, in the Carruthers case, a second mental exam was conducted anyway, as you know. And the Carruthers court excluded it after it was conducted, which is what I'm asking. Because the law has changed on this issue, as the court knows. Diminished capacity is not an injury defense. It is simply making the state prove an element. All it is. It's evidence presented on the element itself. So we're not raising a mental health defense here in the traditional sense. And for that reason, the state was not entitled to it at the time. And I believe the court ought to do what the Carruthers court did, and that is, despite the fact that the exam was conducted, to exclude it as having violated the rule 552, which does control the situation.
Although it wasn't under 552, it was under.
I realize that, but it's still a 552 motion. I mean, it's a mental health request.
Now, certainly the burden has changed, as referenced in the jury instructions. You're correct that it's not the same as an NGRI. It's my understanding, Mr. Patterson, that you, out of to try to avoid error and out of an abundance of caution, have agreed that you will not introduce testimony concerning your expert's examination of the defendant. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. If I could clarify a couple other points. One, Carruthers is an Eastern District opinion. It is currently pending a motion to transfer filed in the Missouri Supreme Court that has not been ruled upon. That decision is also contrary to prior decisions of the Eastern District in State versus Dixon and State versus Wayne, which I cited in a footnote in my motion. But because of the uncertainty caused by the Carruthers decision, I've spoken with Dr. Denny, and he will be able to testify and form opinions based upon the investigative records and the work done by Dr. Franks, the defense expert, and in order to testify those opinions will not need to refer to his own examination and testing of the defendant. The defense motion is overbroad to exclude Dr. Denny's testimony in its entirety. If we were to say Carruthers control, the only thing that would be excludable is that examination and testing done by Dr. Denny. In fact, Carruthers specifically notes
it affords the state the opportunity to put on an expert,
right,
to challenge basically the basis for the defense expert.
right, to do exactly what I'm proposing to do. The other important thing about Carruthers is procedurally in that case, there was a writ filed in the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals issued a stay order, and that exam was conducted after the stay order. So part of Carruthers is punishing the state, the Department of Health, for doing something in violation of its order. We don't have those facts here. Here the exam was conducted with a court order, by agreement of the defense, And the state is not going to put on, like I said, our expert's examination and testing, only his review of the other matters in the case and the opinions he's able to form based on that.
Well, with that,
First of all, if the court allows Dr. Franks or Dr. Denny to testify, then I'm going to object to what he's suggesting limiting. Because the reason he wants to limit the testing is the testing's helpful to Mr. Godejohn. Dr. Denny's testing actually was more favorable to Mr. Godejohn than was even Dr. Franks' testing. And so what the state wants to do is the court of exclude the bad part for them and let the rest of it in. If he's going to testify and he's going to just get up there and just kind of talk about his understanding of autism and what it means and all that kind of stuff, then I say the testing comes in. I think that if we're going to do that, then let's let him tell the whole story. Let's not pick and choose the parts of his testimony we want to present because it helps you. And so that's what I would say about that.
I don't think that was Mr. Patterson's strategy, but certainly if the defense doesn't have, I'm going to let Dr. Denny testify. If the state does not want to introduce the testing during its direct portion, you may do so. That's up to you what you ask and what you don't ask. Mr. Perry, though, if you want to get into it on cross-examination, I'll allow you.
Well, here's
Any
the problem.
objection?
They want to violate their own motion to limit. They've asked to exclude the examination, which includes the testing under Carruthers, arguing that applies in this case. And then when the state agrees to do that very thing, now they don't want to. So they've got to pick their poison. They either want to exclude the examination and the testing or not. Carruthers either applies or it doesn't. If we believe it applies, then when we think about plain error review, if the court doesn't have jurisdiction to order that examination, we shouldn't allow it in. But that doesn't exclude the rest of his testimony.
Well, I think frankly, looking at the concurring opinion again, I do have authority to allow such an examination. And coupled with the fact that it was consented to, I don't think we're talking about a plain error review. Mr. Perry, if you don't want me to, I understand you don't want Dr. Denny testifying at all. That would be
I
option
question
one.
his qualifications on these matters, but I think if he's going to testify, the testing comes in. I think the question comment you just made, you didn't think that's what Mr. Patterson was trying to do. I think you just got your answer. That's exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to keep the bad stuff out for him. I think if you're going to let Dr. Denny testify, it all comes in.
When does Gypsy come up?
And the results
I
of
don't
that
know.
testing and all that
It's
stuff,
kind of
if he testifies.
maybe 2 or 3 videos down.
Not to allow the prosecutor to pick and choose which parts of his testimony they want to present.
This is just a lot of
K-12 makes going back to
this is
school
just a lot of lawyer jargon right now. And I'm picking up on some of it. It's just they're arguing about who can testify, what they can testify about, what they can say, what they can't say, what the jury can hear, things of that nature.
If the court's going to let him in, I think it all comes in.
I want to make sure to get
it all.
everything included.
If he's wanting it all in, Mr. Patterson, assuming you don't have an objection.
That's correct.
All right. Let me ask this. We're still not getting into, though, whether or not Mr. Godejohn had the mental state of mind at the time of the actual incident.
Yeah, that's a different issue, Judge.
That's a completely
I think you
different
already
issue.
ruled on that.
I've already ruled that.
You
I
guys,
just want
did
to
Nick
make
have
sure
the state of
that when
mind?
we're talking about letting the entire report in, we're not letting in that one segment that he did have premeditation.
Yes, the court's ruled on that, and I'm planning on proceeding based upon the court's ruling. I may make a record, and may have requested the court at the time of Dr. Franks' testimony reconsider his ruling, but I'm certainly not going to. I certainly understand that.
Did Nick have competent state of mind at the time of the incident? That's what the judge just asked them. And they're like, oh, we'll talk about that during the trial. Oh.
And so
I want to know from the comments, what do you guys think? Did Nick have competent state of mind at the time of the incident? Make sure you guys like the stream, subscribe, and go review my last 2 videos and like them, please. I really like that. Thank you guys so much.
similarly, we're not going to let in evidence from your expert that Mr. Godejohn did not have sufficient premeditation.
Correct. That issue the court has ruled on, and the statute is pretty clear, and at least the statute that is in effect right now is pretty clear, and so we understand that. That has nothing to do with what we're arguing there.
And I'm happy if you want to make an objection in more detail once we get into it.
I anticipate making a record and asking the court to reconsider it, we'll address that when we get there.
All right. And then I believe there was one additional motion.
I think that may have been a motion that was being filed.
Your Honor, there's a motion to reconsider the motion to suppress. We would ask the court to reconsider that, the evidence that occurred, and arguments made during that.
Court has previously found that the confession of the defendant was made knowingly and voluntarily, and I'm going to deny your request for reconsideration at this point, or deny your request for to exclude it.
And we would ask for a continuing objection.
Any objection, then having a continuing objection on the confession rather than having the same objection to the jury.
No, sir, I think that once the jury's sworn, they'll at least need to make an initial objection, because we haven't actually started the trial yet.
Yes,
I believe I'd have to make an objection when the witness testifies, Judge.
that is correct.
So that in order to properly, so we know that, we understand.
Okay. All right. Are there any other pretrial issues we need to discuss?
Well, that pre-trial is,
I don't think so. Once we're wrapped up.
it drones on, right?
A couple of minutes before we're going to do it.
Yes. I was gonna take a break here for about 5-10 minutes to allow everybody to get.
Take a break. Jeez.
Initial instructions. There's the preliminary instruction and then instructions number 1 and 2 that are normally read. Mr. Perry, any objection to that?
No, Judge, they're fine.
Do you have them?
I believe I set a copy on your bench this morning, Judge. Your approach.
Yes, sir. I've been shuffling papers,
It
so
says right there with the clean and dirty or tab.
thank you very much. All right. So quarter till, if we start about 5 or 10, will that give everybody enough time?
Woo.
Yeah, yes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My gosh.
9:55 then.
That was draining, right? All those motions, but I want to make sure to include everything that I can from this playlist because I don't want to miss anything out. I don't want to miss anything, right? So the next thing is going to be, I want to really hear these opening statements because opening statements can be good. So now we have the trial jury instructions. Now we're going to get a chance to hear Judge Roberts speak directly to the jury. So here's your chance to be a jury member, and he's going to talk to you for 11 minutes and tell you what you can and cannot do in this trial. Like, this is what you are to do. This is what you are to say, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll go to the opening statements. That's when it gets juicy. That's when it gets good. That's when it gets to the prosecutor and the defense attorney telling you, setting the stage. And then we'll see if what we read, saw, seen, uncovered matches up to the state and the defense's side. Gypsy is, I'm going to go in order. So we're probably not going to get to Gypsy today because there's hours of testimony here, but we will get to her. Promise you guys.
Now that you can play official scratch tickets.
What the heck? Make sure to like the stream, guys, and subscribe if you aren't a subscriber. Make sure to check out my Gypsy Rose Blanchard playlist. I have an entire Gypsy Rose Blanchard playlist. Okay. Okay, no problem. No problem. Thanks for stopping by, Kimberly. Now we're going to go to the trial.
As a prospective juror to answer questions truthfully, now that you've been selected to serve on the jury, there's a different oath that I must swear you all to. So if you'd raise your right hand, do you and each of you solemnly swear that you will, well, and truly try the issues herein joined and a true verdict render according to law and evidence, so help you God? Thank you. You may put your hand down. This is the case of the state of Missouri versus Nicholas Godejohn, is the state ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is the defense?
Yes, Judge, and we would ask the court to invoke the rule.
The rule on witnesses is invoked. Both sides will be responsible for their own witnesses. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I have several instructions I'm going to read to you, but let me tell you a couple little courtroom things. We'll take a break about every hour to an hour and 15 minutes. If you need a break before that, just raise your hand and let me know, and we'll take a break. I don't want to make anyone be uncomfortable. If you can't hear or see things that may be up on the screen, let us know. Just raise your hand and we'll make sure that we turn it up or we move people around so that you're able to see. There is no note taking during this trial, and the court reporter will be unable to read back to you any portion of the trial during your deliberations. So it's very important that you pay attention to what the witnesses are saying. All right. Now, the case will proceed in the following order. First, the court will read to you 2 instructions concerning the law applicable to this case and its trial. Next, the attorney for the state must make an opening statement outlining what the attorney expects the state's evidence will be. The attorney for the defendant is not required to make an opening statement then or at any other time. However, if the attorney chooses to do so, he may make an opening statement after that of the state, or the attorney may reserve his opening statement until the conclusion of the state's evidence. Evidence will then be introduced. At the conclusion of all of the evidence, further instructions in writing concerning the law will be read to you by the court, after which the attorneys may make their arguments. You will then be given the written instructions of the court to take with you to your jury room. You will go to that room, select a 4-person, deliberate, and arrive at your verdict. If you find the defendant guilty in this first stage of the trial, a second stage of the trial will be held. During the second stage, additional instructions will be read to you by the court. Additional evidence may be presented, and the attorneys will make their arguments as to punishment. With the additional instructions of the court, you will return to the jury room, deliberate, and determine the punishment to be assessed. Sometimes there are delays or conferences out of your hearing with the attorneys about matters of law. There are good reasons for these delays and conferences. The court is confident that you will be patient and understanding.
They can't have notes because they're not supposed to take them anywhere with them. They're not supposed to take them anywhere. If you write the notes, you can't leave with them. You can't go anywhere with them. You can't, so there's no need to take them. You can't leave out the courtroom with them, so there's no need for it.
We'll have recesses from time to time. The following 2 instructions of law are for your guidance in this case. The 2 of them, along with other instructions in writing, read to you at the close of all the evidence, will be handed to you at that time to take to your jury room. Instruction number 1. Those who participate in a jury trial must do so in accordance with established rules. This is true of the parties, the witnesses, the lawyers, and the judge. It is equally true of jurors. It is the court's duty to enforce these rules and to instruct you upon the law applicable to the case. It is your duty to follow the law as the court gives it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Car wrecks can be scary.
Yeah, they don't need them like sharing notes. They don't need them like trying to slip notes across the courtroom and all of that. There's no need for note taking or anything. You gotta go with what you got.
that I may make during the trial is intended to indicate my opinion of what the facts are. It is your duty to determine the facts and to determine them only from the evidence and the reasonable inferences to be drawn from the evidence. In your determination of the facts, you alone must decide upon the believability of the witnesses and the weight and value of the evidence. In determining the believability of a witness and the weight to be given to testimony of the witness, you may take into consideration the witness's manner while testifying, the ability and opportunity of the witness to observe and remember any matter about which testimony is given, any interest, bias, or prejudice the witness may have, the reasonableness of the witness's testimony considered in the light of all of the evidence in the case, and any other matters that has a tendency in reason to prove or disprove the truthfulness of the testimony
Sure,
of the
Lindsay.
witness. It is important for you to understand that
Is that
this
good?
case must be decided
That good?
only by the evidence presented in the proceedings in this court
Or too loud?
and the instructions I
Hey,
give
Beck,
you.
welcome. Make
The
sure to like
reason
the
for
stream
this
so we can
is
get
that the evidence presented in court is reviewed by the
like the
lawyers
stream.
and the court. And the lawyers have the opportunity to comment on or dispute evidence presented in court. If you obtain information from other places, the lawyers do not have the opportunity.
Okay, all this. I'm ready to hear a fire opening. I'm ready to hear a fire opening. I don't know if you guys know. Well, there's 12 people in here. I'm about to tell you 12. I was in mock trials in high school, which is, if you guys don't know what mock trials is, it's a club, a high school club where you do trials. Like you go on fake trials, moot court. It's like moot court. Basically, what you do is you go on moot court and you put on cases. Some people are attorneys, some people are witnesses, and you prepare your own questions. You have affidavits, you have all that stuff. So I was a big mock trial attorney in high school. So an opening is everything. An opening, no, not really. An opening is not everything. A closing is everything, right? Because an opening, I can kind of be like, as a jury member, I can be like, okay, but you still gotta close strong, right? If you open strong and then you close after you've shown me a bunch of evidence and then you close weak, nah, we're not gonna do that. Yeah, mock trials is really fun. Mock trials is really fun. I started my high school career. I started in speech and debate, and then it went to mock trials, and we won like the state championship every year. No, we won the regional championship every year. Sorry. We won the regional championship every year. And then we went to state and we got second every year. We could not go to nationals because we got second every year in state to this school called Jesuit. And they would always come in with it was a private school. And they'd always come in with their khakis and their blue blazers and their red ties. It was like they couldn't lose, because all their dads were lawyers. It was rigged. It was so rigged. We'd never beat Jesuit. It was an all boys school, all khakis. I'm like, okay, whatever. At least we have like some girls. We have some diversity. They had no diversity. It was like, okay, all right.
To comment on or dispute it. Fairness in our system of justice require giving both sides the opportunity to view and comment on all evidence in the case. It is unfair to the parties if you obtain information about the case outside this courtroom. Therefore, you should not visit the scene of any of the incidents described in this case, nor should you conduct your own research or investigation. For example, you should not conduct any independent research
I
of
don't know
any
her.
type by reference.
I don't know Emily D. Baker. I don't know Emily D. Baker, but I will check her out. Emily D. Baker, amazing ex-attorney who has some great hot takes on cases. Oh, yeah. I don't know her, though. I don't know her. I do not know her. That was my intended career path going to college. I studied political science. That was my intended career path, attorney. But I didn't go down that career path. Kind of went more down the digital freelancer, graphic design career path. Sometimes I think about like what would have happened if I went down that career path, because it's something I do very well have a passion for, right? And you have some people, oh, it's never too late. It's never too late. Are you serious? Who do you think is gonna go through that? What? Like, I mean, I guess if I was like mentally on a place where I was just like had no stress, no nothing, then yeah, throw me in there. But you know how stressful law school is? No, it's so stressful. Even getting into law school is stressful. And then once you graduate, you have to take the bar exam. So you're not even technically an attorney until you pass the bar. So I wouldn't say I'm scared, but I would say certain things just kind of strayed me away because I didn't want to fail at certain things. So I just kind of backed off. You know what I mean? But that's a different story for a different day.
To textbooks, dictionaries, magazines, the internet, a person you consider to be knowledgeable, or any other means about any issue in this case, or any witnesses, parties, lawyers, medical or scientific terminology, or evidence that is any way involved in this trial. You should not communicate, use a cell phone, record, photograph, video, email, blog, tweet, text, or post anything about this trial or your thoughts or opinions about any issue in this case to any person.
You can't do anything.
Prohibition on communication about this trial includes use of the internet, Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, or any other personal or public website.
Finally,
damn, they're basically saying you can't use the internet, you can't use MySpace, you can't use Facebook, you can't use Twitter, you can't use anything that may make you biased towards what's going on. Like when you leave here, I don't know if it was a multiple day trial, it probably was with all those witnesses. You go to your hotel and you go to sleep. Don't do anything. Go to your hotel, eat your little salad, and just go to bed. That's about as good as you can do. You're not going to even be able to talk to your jury, your fellow jury members. You can't even talk to them. Just go to your hotel room and go to bed. That's basically what he's telling them. Like, don't log on any devices. Don't look at anybody. Don't pick up a newspaper. Don't do anything. Nothing. Don't stare at any reporters. Don't even look at a reporter. A reporter shouldn't even know that you're a juror. Just go home. Just go to that hotel room that we gave you. Eat that food that we gave you and shut up until we're done.
Faithful performance by you of your duties as jurors is vital to the administration of justice. You should perform your duties without prejudice or fear, and solely from a fair and impartial consideration of the whole case. an individual juror's personal bias, prejudice, or opinion about any characteristics or perceived characteristics associated with disability, gender, nationality, race or ethnicity, religion, gender identity, or sexual orientation should not be considered. Do not make up your mind during the trial about what the verdict should be. Keep an open mind until you have heard all the evidence and the case is given to you to decide. Instruction number 2. You must not assume as true any fact solely because it is included in or suggested by a question asked a witness. A question is not evidence and may be considered only as it supplies meaning to the answer. From time to time, the attorneys may make objections. They have a right to do so and are only doing their duty as they see it. You should draw no inference from the fact that an objection has been made. If the court sustains an objection to a question, you will disregard the entire question, and you should not speculate as to what the answer of the witness might have been. The same applies to exhibits offered but excluded from the evidence after an objection has been sustained. You will also disregard any answer or other matter which the court directs you not to consider, and anything which the court orders stricken from the record. The opening statements of attorneys are not evidence. Also, you must not consider as evidence any statement or remark or argument by any of the attorneys addressed to another attorney or to the court. However, the attorneys may enter into stipulations of fact. These stipulations become part of the evidence and are to be considered by you as such.
In North Gaza, life.
Okay, so basically, he says, he gives them the rules, the framework. You have to keep an open mind, consider all the evidence, consider all the witnesses, don't share information with anyone outside of here, trying to keep it as as open and as fair and controlled as possible, no biases and things of that nature. So I understand that. But the thing that he says, if something's been stricken from the record, you need to kind of remove that from your mind. I don't think we as humans work like that. If we hear something suspicious and the judge says, "Oh, strike that from the record," the jury's not going to be like, "Oh, we didn't hear that." They're going to be like, "Okay, you're saying disregard that, but we definitely heard that and it was suspicious to us." Like, I've been in cases where sat in cases. I've never argued. I'm not an attorney or anything, but I've sat in cases where attorneys were arguing and something fishy came out. And then the judge said, wait a minute, I strike that from the record. The jury does not need to act on what they just heard. And I was like, I would, because that was suspicious. That was suspicious, right? Just because you say it doesn't mean, just because you say you strike it doesn't mean you don't. It doesn't hit your brain in some way. You can't take the words back. Correct, Betty. You can't take the words back that you spoke. You can't take the words back that you spoke, even though you strike it because the lawyer wanted to sneak it in anyway when they knew that they shouldn't have snuck that evidence in, but they wanted to have it buzz by the jury's ears. An objection isn't stopping what came out of their mouth, period. Let's hear this opening statement by the state. It better be good. It better be good. I better be flabbergasted by this young man here. Let's see.
And so he stood there holding that knife for a minute, considering and deliberating the murder of Claudine Blanchard. But this was not the first time the defendant deliberated. Before he got to the house and walked in the front door, he was handed the blue gloves and the knife, and he deliberated. In his words, he had two thoughts. A benevolent thought that he described as the bitch's death. Even that wasn't.
Why did they edit out the angel on one shoulder part, but leave in the devil part? I already know he's about to kind of piss me off a little bit because he's leaving out parts about Gypsy. I mean, why not include that as well? He said handed a knife, like some magic damn genie handed him a knife. Did you hear that? Did you hear the? Wait, let's hear it again.
He had two thoughts. A benevolent thought that he described, considering and deliberating the murder of Claudine Blanchard. But this was not the first time the defendant deliberated. Before he got to the house and walked in the front door, he was handed the blue gloves and the knife, and he deliberated. In his words, he had two thoughts. A benevolent thought that he described as the bitch's death. Even that wasn't the first time the defendant deliberated. Hours before getting to the house, he sat in his hotel room at the day's end, texting Gypsy, making sure everything was ready. Making sure the knife was ready, the gloves, duct tape, telling Gypsy that he was planning on wearing a scary outfit that would scare Claudine, and telling Gypsy not to underestimate his will to kill. That wasn't the first time the defendant deliberated. 36 hours prior, knowing he was coming to Springfield to murder Claudine. That bus stopped in 3 different cities as the defendant sat on it, knowing he was coming to Springfield to murder Claudine. That wasn't the first time the defendant deliberated. It was a year prior when the defendant, while speaking with his girlfriend Gypsy, was first introduced to the idea of killing Claudine Blanchard. A year prior.
By who? By who? By who? Why is the state protecting Gypsy like that? What are they just putting the target on him because they want his ass so bad? Because they are just like not saying anything about the co-defendant at all. They're not mentioning the co-defendant at all. Are they just targeting Nick because they want him so bad? Welcome in, Simone. Hi, where are you from? Welcome, B. Welcome back. Everybody who I haven't said hi to, hi. Make sure you guys come in. When you guys come in, please like the stream. My name is Lindsay, and we are... my name is Lindsay, and we are going through. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just looking at the comments, and we are going through the Gypsy Rose Nicholas Godejohn trial. Gypsy Rose didn't have a trial. She took a plea deal, so there was only one trial in this case, and that was for Nicholas Godejohn. We're going through the opening statements. If you guys like Gypsy Rose content, I have a whole playlist on her. We went through text messages. We went through interrogations. We went through all of their content, crime scene photos, and the like, guys. I also go through other content like documentary reviews and things of that nature. So we're just going through this. These are the opening statements here, okay? This isn't a new trial. This is the old trial. We're just going through because one of the subscribers wanted to see this. So if you find it interesting, please hit that subscription button. We're on the road to 1K, guys. All right, so I'm going to switch up the dynamic here a little bit, and let's finish hearing this guy out here.
Prior. And the evidence will show that although it was Gypsy's idea, it was the defendant's deliberation that led to him standing outside of Claudine's bedroom door with gloves on, dressed in black, holding a knife, and thinking the bitch is dead. And the evidence will show that after that deliberation on June 10th of 2015, he entered that bedroom and stabbed Claudine Blanchard to death. Back in June of 2015, Claudine Blanchard lived at 2103 West Volunteer Way with her daughter, Gypsy. And on June 14th of 2015, neighbors and friends of Claudine and Gypsy became concerned because they saw a Facebook post. It was posted on a joint account that Gypsy and Claudine shared, and the post hinted that Claudine was dead and that Gypsy had been raped. These neighbors and concerned friends, they go to the house, nobody's answering, so they end up calling the Greene County Sheriff's Office. They respond. They're not able to get anyone to come to the door. Eventually, they make entry to the house. There's no sign of Gypsy, but Claudine Blanchard is found in the back bedroom, dead, face down, blood-soaked nightgown with multiple stab wounds.
Please don't scroll. Listen to me. My name is Hiba from
Then try to determine who made this Facebook post. And they end up determining that it was made from a residence all the way in Waukesha County, Wisconsin, a residence that's associated with Nicholas Godejohn. At this point in the investigation, the police don't know if Gypsy's also a victim, if she's alive, if she's dead, and they don't know who Nicholas Godejohn is. But knowing that that's the location where the Facebook post originated, they coordinate with the Waukesha County Sheriff's Office, who ends up serving a search warrant on that residence, and they find the defendant, Nicholas Godejohn, and they find Gypsy. To their surprise, Gypsy was not injured. She was not being held captive. They, for the first time, find out that Gypsy is there willingly as the defendant's girlfriend. And that's the first this relationship between the defendant and Gypsy Blanchard becomes known after Claudine is dead. Both Gypsy and the defendant, you will hear a lot about their relationship. And it's bizarre. It starts in October of 2012 when they meet on Christian Dating for Free, an online site. And within just a few days of talking to each other, they decide to become committed. And they carry on for almost 3 years an almost exclusively online relationship where they communicate over Facebook, Yahoo Messenger, and Skype. You're going to hear about and see some of the dynamics of this relationship and how it started to become very sexual, and they introduced fantasy role-playing into their relationship. They each developed alter egos, evil sides, and they would fantasy role-play with one another while talking about sexual things using these alter egos. Eventually, the defendant learns that Gypsy, who he initially knew was in a wheelchair, didn't have to be in one. He learns that Gypsy is not happy at home, and he learns that Claudine is never going to let Gypsy be with him. And it is around that time, back in May of 2014, a year before the murder, that Gypsy first introduces the idea to the defendant about killing her mom. And that idea,
Very good choice of words.
culminates in the defendant ultimately.
Very good choice of words. You make it sound like a pleasant thing, Mr. Attorney. Very interesting choice of words. Introduces the idea like they're walking to the fucking park. You're trying to lessen the load on the person who introduced the idea. It's the language she's using. It's making it seem like Gypsy isn't as much of the person who should be receiving backlash for this. You know, she just introduced an idea. That's my opinion on it, though. That's my opinion. He's saying, like, Nick did everything. Exactly. I have no niche. I've seen the crime scene photos. Oh, my God. What happened to Dee Dee? I was totally shocked. It was brutal. Yeah. I did a video, actually, on the crime scene photos, and I have a live stream on even more crime scene photos. It's absolutely devastating. I didn't do any of Dee Dee's body, but I saw them, and not by my own will. I mean, I was just kind of in a feed and scrolling, and I just saw them, and I never thought it was that bad. But wow, like, it's terrible. But from what I can see here, he's telling the truth for the most part. He's doing a good job of setting the story. He's doing a good job of setting the story, I feel like. He's doing a good job of laying the roadmap for me, because everything he's saying, I feel like it's going in chronological order, explaining their relationship. He's just doing a disservice to Nick, which is his job as the prosecutor, trying to get him thrown in jail, right? Trying to get him convicted of first-degree murder for Dee Dee Blanchard. This is his job. He's going to make it seem like any other party wasn't as crucial in this as Nick. So,
standing outside of Claudine's door with that knife. And it was after deliberation, after considering alternatives. They considered alternative ways to be together. First, trying to get Claudine to like the defendant, or even trying to get Gypsy pregnant. But ultimately, after considering those alternatives, the defendant's deliberation that ended in Claudine's murder. Once the defendant and Gypsy are found in Waukesha County, they're taken to the sheriff's office there, and the defendant's taken to an interview room. And he sits there for a long time because he has to wait for detectives from the Greene County Sheriff's Office to fly in. Eventually, Detective Angela Mahoney with the Greene County Sheriff's Office arrives, and she goes in and interviews the defendant. And you're going to see that interview. And throughout this week, what you're going to see is that the defendant eventually, he confesses to premeditation, confesses to deliberation, confesses to murder. But what you're going to also see is that all of the evidence that's found at the crime scene, it matches his confession. All of the evidence that's found in Waukesha County matches his confession, and everything else in between. Eventually, after giving Detective Mahoney a pre-planned lie that he and Gypsy had come up with, he looks at her, he takes a minute, and he says, "I'll admit it. I actually did stab her. I'll admit it." And he admits that he did it, not to save Gypsy, but so that they could be together. And from there, he walks the detective through what happened. How Gypsy had given him money to take a Greyhound bus from Wisconsin to Springfield. That he goes and he stays at the Days Inn to get ready. And you'll see surveillance video of the Days Inn. You'll see him checking in. And Eventually, the defendant gets a cab that takes him from his hotel room to the residence at 2103 West Volunteer Way. He texts Gypsy that he's there. She meets him at the door with the blue latex gloves and the knife. He tells her to get to the bathroom, lock herself in there. And now we arrive where I began, where he's standing outside of her door with the knife. Except he describes what happens after. That after that minute, his final deliberation, his final reflection, he goes inside. She's sleeping on her stomach. He straddles her, and he begins to stab her multiple times in the back, and he cuts the back of her neck. He describes stabbing her approximately 4 times. Going deeper than others because the knife is getting harder to pull back. He can tell that he punctures a lung. And that matches the autopsy that ultimately reveals that Claudine didn't have 4, she had 17 stab wounds to her back, to the back of her neck, and she had deep cuts to her neck that went all the way to the vertebrae of her neck. The defendant describes her screaming and some statements that he made to her as he's murdering her. Then he talks about afterwards the fact that he went and got Gypsy from the bathroom and that they began to clean up. He adds that he asked Gypsy to clean up the blood naked because that turned him on. And that after cleaning up, as Claudine's dead, knife-ridden body.
Wait, did he say that? Did Nick say that? Did Nick say that? Because I don't remember that. I legitimately do not remember Nick saying that he wanted Gypsy to clean up naked because that turned him on.
Body is laying in her bedroom. The defendant and Gypsy actually go into Gypsy's room and have sex. They then ultimately pack up, take a taxi to the Days Inn, a Greyhound to Wisconsin, and that's ultimately where they're found. Before they get on that Greyhound bus, they take the knife and they take those blue latex gloves and they actually go to the post office, put them in an envelope, and mail them to the defendant's residence in Wisconsin so they don't get caught on the bus with it.
Mail them
and that matches what's found in the defendant's room in Wisconsin. They find the envelope with the knife, the gloves, that ends up having Claudine's DNA on the blade and a mixture of the defendant, Gypsy, and Claudine's DNA on the handle. You'll see this confession. You'll hear the physical evidence. You'll see how everything matches up. Ultimately, what is going to tie it together is the online persona and the online world that the defendant and Gypsy lived in. Computers were seized, cell phones were seized, and you get the full picture by reading and hearing the defendant's conversations, not with police, when he didn't think people were listening. You see that about a year prior, he talks on Facebook with a friend about their plan to kill Claudine, and that they're going to put it off for a while and try a different approach. They're going to first see if the defendant can meet Claudine and maybe she'll like it. Well, that doesn't work. They also talk more about this idea to maybe get Gypsy pregnant. That doesn't work. The killing was always supposed to be the last resort. But then by May of 2015, after reflecting on these alternatives, the defendant's computer search history shows he had already reflected and he had deliberated and he had agreed and chose to murder. He searches for bondage tape, tasers, knives, tactical knives, a jungle primitive knife, a SEAL team knife. And then lastly, you'll see the text messages between the defendant and Gypsy from about 2 weeks prior to the murder, all the way up until he is standing out of the door.
I read those,
And
guys.
what you're going to see in what
The text messages he's talking about, I read those. I read most of those text messages one by one, and they were hard to read. I'm telling you, if you haven't seen my video reading those, I suggest you go through to my Gypsy Rose Blanchard playlist and check out me reading those text messages. They are not for the weak. Those text messages are not for the weak. He's about to tell you probably about them, and they're not for the weak. If you guys are sticking in here with me, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. I'm trying to hit 1K, guys. It seems like the closer I get to 1K, the harder it gets to hit. Come on, guys, let's hit 1K. We're gonna get there. I just want to hit it. I just want to hit it so I can say I'm at 1K. Guys, check out my last 2 videos. I talk about the 7M TikTok cult. Make sure to like this video so we can get more people in here. But let's see what he has to say about these text messages. But yeah, Gypsy said something about cleaning up on her knees. Nick never said that turned him on, her cleaning up naked. He made that up. Unless I missed that in the interrogation, though.
the evidence will show is that, yes, this was
I'm
Gypsy's
hungry.
idea,
Need to get food.
but the defendant on June 10th was ready to kill, and these texts show he was enjoying it. He was looking forward to it. He was excited about it. You'll see text messages while he's waiting in his hotel room, waiting to take the cab to murder Claudine, that yes, Gypsy's idea, but it's the defendant who's texting Gypsy saying, making sure he knows where the address is, making sure the knife and the gloves are ready. It's the defendant who asks if the floor squeaks, if Claudine is a heavy or a light sleeper. When Gypsy responds to him, she's a light sleeper, he says he's getting excited. It's the defendant that texts he's going to wear an outfit that will scare Claudine. It's the defendant that suggests he's going to finish Claudine no matter what and not to underestimate his will to kill. And you'll see those texts go all the way up to where he's standing outside of the door and he tells Gypsy to come. And lastly, you'll hear an interview the defendant did with the media in January of this year, where he describes what his thought process was as he stood outside the door ready to kill Claudine. And he describes deliberately that we will ask you to find him guilty of first-degree murder.
Well, thank you.
They edited some of that out.
This lens is blown.
They definitely edited some of that out, guys. So what are you thinking so far? What are you guys thinking so far? Before we look at the defenses, what are you guys thinking so far? I have to order something to eat. I am so hungry. Tell me what you guys are thinking about that opening statement. I feel like the opening statement was okay. It was all right. Give me guys' honest opinion about the opening statement. I've seen openings go longer unless they took some of that out. I was expecting some lawyers are different. Not every lawyer goes up there and screams and hollers every time they have a client, you know? So, but I was just saying I was expecting more of, what do you mean by that, Beck? Which is worse, the puppet or the puppet master? Can you explain that to the chat a little bit more? I understand what you mean, but can you lay that out for the chat? We're just going to take a quick little break here while I order some food and everything. But I do want to know what you mean. Ooh, 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 ooh. Just all right. I really think Gypsy played a part in everything. More a part in everything. Just felt like they were protecting Gypsy a little more than one would think. So you have the puppet master, aka you have the puppet, aka Nick, and the puppet master is Gypsy. You take away the puppet master, and the puppet doesn't move. Interesting. Interesting. So you're basically saying that Gypsy has the keys to drive the car. Yeah, I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. It's biased. It's extremely biased in terms of, yeah, you're right. You guys are right. You guys are right. And for people coming into this that have watched the act or have seen one of Gypsy Rose's interrogations, you would think, oh my God, what a monster, because of how they so quickly pivoted the story to make Nick look like he was just going in to attack Dee Dee, and Gypsy was, innocent and helpless in this. So I think we were all kind of fooled at first a little bit. That's the only thing that kind of pisses me off, is the fact that when they came to us with the act and they came to us with everything, they didn't give us the full truth. They just kind of gave us some half-ass truth and didn't get deep into what really was going on. Like, they didn't get deep into what really was going on. They just kind of made Gypsy Rose appear to be a victim. They made Gypsy Rose appear to be a victim all the way through and through on the act. The way they had Dee Dee on the act appearing like she was chaining her to beds and saying that she couldn't have sugar, and just being this horrible, horrible, horrible mother. Like, there was no other way. That's basically what the act wanted us to believe. The act wanted us to believe, in so many other words, it was justified because it was abuse. That's as far as it was going, in my opinion. Hi, Soul, how are you? The act wanted us to believe it was justified. That's basically where I'm going with it. Like, the manner in which they didn't what like the manner in which they did it wasn't, but she's finally free now. Like, that's basically where they were getting at with that. And I don't understand that. I don't get that. Does anybody else get why the act was like that? So, where are you from? If you guys are, if you guys could just drop where you're from in the chat. If you guys could drop where you're from in the chat. I want to know where you're from. Let me know where you're from in the chat. And if you haven't liked the stream, please like the stream. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please hit the subscribe button. We're on the road to 1K, guys. We talk about scandals, controversy, and all kinds of other great stuff. And I have a little bitty twist of humor. Guys, I have a YouTube channel, Instagram, and TikTok, whatever you like. You can find it on my YouTube channel. My Instagram's tagged there, my email's tagged there, all my stuff's tagged there. But I have a lot of good stuff. I talk about scandals. I talk about cults, documentaries, things of that nature. I'm going to be talking about Scott Peterson soon. So make sure to share it out. I was once a victim of domestic abuse, and I feel for Nick slightly because I know how it feels when you have no love. And the moment someone shows interest to you, you hold on to that. Ooh. Yeah, I get it. But I feel like I can go as far as to say that they are treating this situation like when someone is in a domestic violence relationship and their partner keeps hitting them and keeps hitting them and keeps hitting them and keeps hitting them and keeps hitting them, and one day they just shoot their partner in self-defense, that's how they're treating it. Like, oh, they've been beating me for 20 years. They've been beating me for 10 years. They've been inflicting physical harm upon me for all these years. I didn't see that. Reflecting back, I don't see it. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. And if I'm wrong, God is my witness, I apologize. Did she go through things that were horrible? Yes, of course. Did she go through things that were traumatic? Yes, of course. But I do not like this eye for an eye type of mentality people have, this she's finally free mentality that people have, where you can justify her mother no longer being here. Like, that's what it took. That's what it needed to take. That's what it needed to take. That's what pisses me off with the whole thing, because I went into this feeling really fucking shitty for Gypsy. I watched the act and I felt really fucking shitty for her. Until, I don't know who it was I saw. Somebody I saw on here. I can't remember who it was. It was some YouTuber I saw. And I started thinking into it a little bit more. And I was like, huh. She was kind of in on that more than she lets on. So I don't want to hear that. You know? But anyway, let's get into the defenses. I'm going to be over here ordering my food, guys, so my head might be down for a second. I found you last weekend and been watching your videos, enjoying you. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Make sure you like those videos. I tell everybody, like my videos, guys. Engagement is the most important thing. So if you can't watch a video, like it. If you can go through as many videos as you can, like it, share it to any platform you like. That helps the algorithm so much. If you guys want to support, the best way to do is engage. That means drop a comment, share, or like. Okay. Sharing gets me seen by other people. Liking gets me recognized by the platform. And, and commenting just basically keeps up community engagement on the platform. So thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate all 14 of you. Our first live stream was really fun as well. We looked at the live stream, the crime scene photos. So that was really fun as well. I grew up going through severe SA from 3 years old until teenage years. A family member realized on it happening. There's a difference from someone helping her leave to maybe get farther. Yeah, definitely. That's horrible. Like, all of these things are bad. All of these things are really bad. Like, there was this one guy. He was a Boy Scout. It was a documentary on Netflix, and he got sexually assaulted by his scout leader, and he went back like 20 years later and killed the guy, and he got like 8 years in prison or something like that, because of how this man would brutally sexually assault him for years and years and years and years and years and years. Right? And it just can't, like, he just got really high or something like that. And one day he went and found the guy. He knew where he lived, and he did that to him. I feel like nothing's adding up with this case. And that's why people are like, just let it go, just let it go. I mean, I don't know who Gypsy Rose is today. I can't speak on who she is today, but I can speak on the inconsistencies in this case in 2015, especially since it's a hot topic. And the YouTube gurus tell me if something's hot, double down on it. So that's what I'm going to do. So basically, she needs to, like, I don't know, she needs to understand that some people are just covering her content because of how intriguing it is and because of how many loopholes and rabbit holes there are to go down with this. Because it's deeper than most people think, this case. And people aren't just trying to attack her. Because I don't know her to this day. Like, I don't know how she is today. It's been 10 years. So, I really don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, some of the horrible things that people say about Gypsy Rose. I'm just not going to do that, you know? Would I have trouble trusting her? Yes. But, I mean, that's with anyone. The Menendez brothers case, I will. Actually, I'm pulling out my shorts. I'm pulling out my shorts book right now. I have a whole master list of things that I'm supposed to cover. Actually, there's Scott Peterson on here. There's some stuff on here I can't tell y'all because it's for my Menendez brothers. Is that trending right now? Is that trending? I'm going to look it up on Google Trends. Hang on. Oh, shit. I mean, sorry. Is it trending? It trended for a little bit. Why was it trending? Why did it spike today for some reason at 8:52 in the morning? What happened at 8:52 in the morning? Like, it spiked at 8:52 in the morning. I think I'm going to hit that. Because I was going to do Menendez brothers. I was going to do, hang on guys, let me show you guys something real quick. Because you got to look at what's trending. I'll do all the videos, but I kind of want to do what's trending right now because I want to. Oh, shit. What did I just do? Sorry, guys. I want to kind of stay in the trending because I just had a viral video. So, do you guys know about that girl, that woman who passed away, who was married to that pastor? What's her name? Micah Miller. I feel like she's trending too. Right? Both of them are trending. Micah and him are trending, and her are trending. What the heck? They just trend randomly like that. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna give both of those a look. For sure. Now I just need something for my L video. I need an L scandal. If you guys can help me find an L scandal, that would be great. Oh God, I'm sorry, Soul. Just keeping your stuff up there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was dating a man. He would not let me leave the house. He had a knife. There was a woman hiding in the back bedroom. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I need something to do with L. I can definitely do Micah Miller because that's scandalous in itself because somebody said Casey and Anthony, the Menendez brothers. We got 7M. We got Scott Peterson. He's trending right now. So Scott Peterson will probably be soon as well. I'm just talking about some topics with you guys. So thank you for that, Menendez brothers, because I have a whole section in my Google Docs dedicated to video ideas, and it's just piling up because at first I had to just think of them one by one. All right, so guys, let's go ahead and listen to the defense attorney statement. And I'm going to go ahead and order some food. Make sure to like the stream, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you being here. It means the world to me. Thank you so much.
Good morning. Nicholas Godejohn stabbed and killed Miss Blanchard. We're not contesting that. We're here because the state has charged Nick with murder in the first degree. You'll hear some evidence that Nick was autistic, and
I don't like that. Don't.
You'll hear some evidence that I ask that you find Nick not guilty of murder in the first degree and consider other means of homicide. Now, Nick didn't come into this world like most of us. He was born in the spring of 1989. He was born with his umbilical cord wrapped around his neck. His tiny brain was deprived of oxygen, and his family knew.
Hey, do you guys hear that popping noise, or is it just me? It's at like
there were going to be developmental delays. Nick went to school, an elementary school. He was diagnosed with autism. Nick was raised.
Hi, Mystery Girl, and with Missy and Sister Sally.
Went through boyfriends.
Hi, welcome back. This is your second stream. Welcome back.
But she didn't give Nick the emotional support he needed. She was often absent, wasn't there. Nick's time was spent on the internet. He stayed in an upstairs bedroom on Cherry Street in Big Bend, Wisconsin, and that was his outlet to the world.
Thank you so much, Mystery Girl. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
It wasn't too long before they were in love. Nick loved Gypsy with all his heart. Now, Nick was autistic, had a different perception of the world. And Gypsy knew he was autistic. She accepted that.
Oh, yeah.
Nick knew
Which is good.
that Gypsy was in a wheelchair. And he accepted that. But it didn't take too long for Nick to learn from Gypsy that she didn't need to be in that wheelchair. And this is what the world was led to believe. Gypsy's mother kept her in this condition for charity, sympathy, attention, money, for a number of reasons. Gypsy was held captive in this wheelchair.
Okay, it sounds better now. I'm sorry, guys. It sounds better now. Here we go.
She left the house walking without her wheelchair, made a phone call, and had a friend pick her up. Didn't take too long for Claudine Blanchard, Dee Dee, Gypsy's mother, to pick her up. Gypsy was taken home. She was chained to the bed. She was beaten with clothes hangers. Gypsy was not allowed to leave her mother. She wasn't allowed to be free. And she wanted a relationship outside of her home. She wanted a relationship with Nick. They talked about murder a year before it happened. But Gypsy formulated another plan. Why don't I try to bring you into my life? Introduce you, my mom will get to know you, and we'll go from there. Gypsy stole some money from her mom, sent it to Nick, purchased a bus ticket. Nick drove down on a bus from Wisconsin for the first time in 2015, in March of 2015, and stayed in a hotel that Gypsy paid for. Now, the idea was that they were going to go to an IMAX movie. They were going to go see Cinderella together. And they did. They both met there at the movie theater, talked to one another as if they'd never met before, like they didn't have any idea who each other was. And Gypsy's hope was that she would bond with this man in front of her mother, develop a friendship, and that her mother would accept that. Ultimately, they sat next to one another during that movie. And eventually they were able to get out of the theater. They went into the men's room and had sexual intercourse. When they went back into the theater, Gypsy's mother made sure they didn't sit next to one another. And Gypsy was heartbroken. She wanted her mom to accept Nick. And her mom described Nick as creepy. Gypsy knew there was only one way she was going to be able to spend a life with Nick. There was only one way to get out from under the grasp of her mother, and that was to kill her mother. Gypsy formulated this plan, and she wavered on it. For a while, she was committed to it. Later, she decided, no, that's not the right thing. Nick was happy to do whatever Gypsy wanted. He was always compliant. And finally, Gypsy said, it's getting worse here. This has to be done. She stole some more money from her mother, provided that to Nick to come down on a bus and stay in a hotel. She stole a knife from Walmart so that Nick could use that as a murder weapon, and provided Nick with gloves and tape and everything he would need to go through with her plan.
Stop. How do you steal a knife from Walmart? Do they have knives? I thought the knives were like behind the glass. Are the knives not behind the glass anymore? Are they tripping like that? I thought the knives, the hunting gear, and all that was behind glass. Why on earth? How can you steal? How can you steal knives like that? That was a hunting knife. That was like a fishing knife, hunting knife. You can just steal that? My goodness. She was a pro at it then. Because I thought that was behind like some type of glass or something. I don't even know if they sell guns or and weapons in Walmart anymore like they used to, but that used to be behind some type of glass, I believe.
Nick arrived there at the house. Knife was ready, gloves were ready, tape was ready. He entered that home and saw Gypsy standing there. A girl who could walk, not someone captive in a wheelchair. Looking around the living room, there were wheelchairs. The devices that bound her. And Nick went through with Gypsy's plan. Before they left town, they mailed the knife back to Wisconsin. Gypsy got everything ready for that. They put Gypsy's address there on Volunteer Way as the return address. They dropped it in the mail. And they went to Wisconsin. Once they got to Wisconsin, Gypsy put a Facebook post on a shared account, an account she shared with her mother that said, the bitch is dead, etc., etc. The goal there, and Gypsy will tell you this, was that she wanted her mother's body to be found. She wanted her mother to have a proper burial. And Gypsy will also tell you that she never thought she would be caught, that people would just forget about her, that they would.
She wanted her mother to have a proper burial. I cannot understand. You didn't even have to have a burial. You didn't even have to have a burial. You didn't even have to do this. And then you thought you wasn't going to get caught? Are you? And you're on the Facebook, the shared Facebook, on the cell towers? If you're not subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button. Let's help me hit 1,000 subscribers. Please. Guys, I've been working tirelessly day and night. Guys, we're at 971. We're going to get there. We're going to get there. And guess what? We have quite a few watch hours, guys. We have quite a few. Watch hours. I don't even know how to show that, but we are in the YouTube partner program. So, how do I find that information? I have no niche. Thank you so much. We are in the YouTube partner program, so we can get super chats and we can sell merch and we can do memberships and all that good stuff. I haven't set up any memberships or any merch, but I will be working on that, ratiocinating, see what I want to do for that. The only thing I have turned on is super chats. But to get ads on my videos, so I can get ad revenue, I need 1,000 subscribers. I am in the YouTube partner program, if you guys didn't know. My content you need over 4,000 hours of watch time. In the last 28 days, I've cranked out 5,000 hours of watch time. So just guys, all I need is a little bit of push. I need 29 more people to hit the sub button, and we will be getting ads on those videos. So I'm glad you're here. Because we're here for we're going to the moon with this channel. I'm telling you right now. If you're here in the early stages, just hold on. I'm telling you, just hold on. We're almost there. We're just hold on. For real. I'm trying to celebrate by Friday. You know what I'm saying? Like a toast on Friday. You know, I'm trying to push YouTube, Instagram, all those things, but this defense attorney, why isn't okay? So the prosecutor is lying to make himself look good. Why aren't you lying? That's what you get paid to do. You get paid to lie, my man. You get paid to lie. Why aren't you lying? Why aren't you saying anything? You're just literally telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth. So help you God. Like, what is wrong with you? You're a defense attorney. Man up. You just coming here. And Nick, he did it. He walked in there and he did that and he did this and you're a defense attorney. Lie. God damn it. Like, what is going on with the defense attorney's energy? Like, I feel like the prosecutor had such a better opening. Like, the prosecutor came in there and was like, we're nailing him to the ground. He did this, and this. And that's just what it is. And I'm like, yep, he did do that. He did that too. And you're coming in here looking like a sad puppy. Look at the face. Come on, man. Jeez.
Bury her mom, and the world would move on. Before she left the house, she stole approximately $5,000 from her mom that her mom kept in the house in cash. Her goal was to start a new life with that. Her and Nick would live off that money for a while. They'd start a family together.
Thank you for the subscription. Remember the good old days with Missy. Thank you so
You're
much.
gonna hear testimony about Nick's autism. You're probably gonna hear from a couple of doctors who are gonna tell you Nick is autistic. He has a low IQ. He suffers cognitive disabilities. I expect you'll find Nick not guilty of murder in first degree. And you will have the opportunity to consider lesser degrees of homicide. I ask that you keep an open mind, and I appreciate your attention this morning.
Imagine making 400.
But you didn't explain the lesser forms of homicide, and you didn't explain what those lesser forms of homicide were. You didn't explain what those lesser forms of homicide were. You didn't set the stage for those. You didn't tell them the evidence they had behind those. Like, you were shitty. Like, that has to be a public defender. I'm sorry. Like, Gypsy had this super fucking... I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Gypsy had a super lawyer, and Nick has this public defender that does not care. You don't care. It's just another day. It's just another day. It's just another day. Horrible. Bad. 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 Like, what? You can consider other forms of homicide. Like what? And what are your stipulations for those forms of homicide? I don't get it. All right, so this is DD. Okay, this is Deputy Mike Robertson. Let's see. I'll probably do like 20 minutes of Deputy Robertson, and then I'm going to stop the deputy here.
Is the state have a witness?
Yes, sir. The state calls Deputy Mike Robertson.
All right. Deputy Robertson. Come on up. Okay. Have a seat up here, okay? You raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending for the court
Yes.
will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you. Keep your voice up and face the jury, okay?
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Say your name for the record, please.
Michael Lee Robertson.
How are you employed?
I'm a Greene County Sheriff Deputy,
How long do you work for the sheriff's office?
almost 18 years.
What is your current assignment?
I work with our civil division now.
What does that mean, just in general?
We do protection orders, various civil papers, evictions, written body attachments, which are warrants, things like that.
Do they include the text messages interrogation in here? Like the whole bit? Like they show the whole thing? If so, yeah. I'll skip that because we've gone over that.
Is that a job you sought within the sheriff's office?
Mhm.
Oh, and, Armand, you gotta say yes or no.
Yes, sir.
We're at part-time typing down,
Yes,
that's
sir.
normally fine. What did you do for the sheriff's office in June of 2015?
I was a patrol deputy.
Could you talk to the jury a little bit about what the duties of a patrol deputy are?
Various functions, criminal investigation, some accident, traffic investigations, or traffic stops, or things like that. It's about things that's generally what it is, working cases and taking initial reports for cases and stuff like that.
Responding to 911 dispatches?
Yes.
Well, I take you back to June 14th of 2015. On that day in the afternoon, did you have an occasion to be dispatched to 2103 West Volunteer Way?
Yes.
Is that a location here in Greene County?
Yes.
What was it that caused you to be dispatched to that location?
It came out as a check of well-being for two residents in that
2 minutes.
And was there something about in the notes, in the dispatch notes about why you were going there to check the well-being of the residents?
Yes, something about Facebook posts that friends of the 2 individuals had
Hey,
received,
Shona.
stating that they had possibly been raped and murdered, or either or.
And so did you respond to that location?
Yes, sir.
Were there other deputies who responded there with you?
Yes, sir.
Deputy, let him get his whole question out before you
Yes,
answer.
Deputy Robertson, I'm going to show you a series of photos here that are marked. You can see they're marked on the back.
Make sure to like the stream when you guys come
1,
in.
2, 3, 4.
Thank you so
5. You
much.
just take a moment and look at those. So in general, what are we looking at in states exhibits 1 through 5?
The residents in which I responded to.
At 2103 West Volunteer Way?
Yes.
And I noticed there's some crime scene tape in some of those pictures,
Yes.
and that would not have been there when you were on.
No, sir.
Other than that, these state exhibits 1 through 5 fairly and accurately depict the exterior of the residence?
Yes.
I move to admit state exhibits 1 through 5.
No objection, Your Honor.
They'll be admitted without objection.
Can you see that, Deputy?
Yes, sir.
Can everyone see the screen?
Can you all see it okay?
All right.
When you got to, well, let me put the first picture. Let's look at State's Exhibit 1 here. Is that the residence we've been discussing?
Yes.
The pink one with the white railings and ramps?
Yes.
When you got to that location, what did you find?
The vehicle in question sitting in the driveway, and it looked just pretty much like that.
When you say the vehicle, you're talking about the Nissan Cube there?
Yes.
And was there anyone there when you got there?
There were friends of the family there that initially made the 911 call.
And did you speak with them?
It was real brief, but Deputy Hughes spoke to them most of the time.
Did you check the residence to see if you could locate Claudine Blanchard, Gypsy Blanchard?
Yes.
Can you describe what you did to do that?
We checked the windows to see, and the door to see if there was any forced entry or any broken windows. We couldn't see in because the windows were blacked out. But we didn't see any signs of forced entry or anything like that.
And did you just check the front windows there and door? Or did you check other parts of the residence?
We checked all the windows.
And so now looking at State's Exhibit 2, on the right side of the residence, looks like there's a window and door on that side as well.
Yes.
Did you check those?
Yes.
You said, hang on, you said, I still don't understand why David Blanchard was allowed to go in the house through the window before the cops entered. Did I miss something? Who's David? I think I'm missing something. Who's David? Who's David? Please don't tell me I'm missing a critical chunk of this. Who the heck is David? Who is David? Who is David? For real, who's David? David Blanchard is the neighbor. Oh, yeah, I remember that he said they had the same last name. Yeah. That David's account is that he asked the police, would it be a problem if I just went in through this window? And the cop said, I don't care. And he just went in through the window. And he went through the house. He said it was cold. He said that the temperature was turned down, all that stuff. And he didn't see anything. I'll never believe she wasn't present in the room when it happened. I think a lot of the injuries were done with a more personal, intimate resent behind them. That wouldn't have come from Nick. Interesting. Very interesting. Interesting take. Interesting take. He claims to went in and didn't see her, but if you look at all the stuff piled up around the windows, they don't look disturbed. One interview, he said he checked Dee Dee's room and saw nothing. Next interview, he said the lights didn't work. He didn't go in Dee Dee's room. My thing is, can we just talk about this real quick? And then I might save this whole video for the next stream, okay? Can we just talk about this real quick? And we need to figure out who the hell Dan is. I don't know who Dan is, but Dan is an issue. The reason why I don't know anything about Dan is an issue. Like Dan, I feel like Dan plays a bigger part in this than we want to take credit for or whatever. They paint Dan in the act as some prince and some knight in shining armor. That's who they paint Dan as, some knight in shining armor in the documentary, but he's not. As she goes by and her mom drags her out. We need to know more about Dan to know more about the dynamic and Gypsy's mindset and rhetoric going into the relationship with Nick. But my thing is with David Blanchard, if you see the Facebook post and you're worried about the well-being of your friend and you get into your friend's house, why wouldn't you check every room? Why wouldn't you check every room? If it were me, I'm checking everything. I'm leaving no stone unturned. I probably would have been shitting. But the thing about it is, if you see something like that on your friend's phone and you find a way in their house, you're not looking in every door. You're not looking in every door, under every bed, everywhere. How in the heck are you just not gonna... How are you just not going to catch that? How did he not catch that? I think maybe he was scared. So he just walked in and walked out, didn't see Gypsy and thought if Gypsy's not here, maybe Dee's not here. But my thing is, if I think my friend's in danger and I go to her house, I'm not just stepping in and stepping out. We're going through every closet, under every drawer, in the bathtub, in the washing machine. We're going everywhere. So how did you not see? But I digress. I digress. I digress. I digress. I don't get that. I just don't understand that. But I mean, maybe it was for the best that he didn't see, right? Maybe it's for the best that he didn't see that. Maybe it happened for a reason. Yeah, multiple chairs, just chairs on chairs on chairs with nothing in them. And as Nick said, there's just tons of the wheelchairs weren't being used. If they were being used, it was the one in the bathroom that was being used. The only one. There's so many stories that people have out there. There's so many rabbit holes people have going on. But the thing about it is, all we can do is really look at the facts. And what the facts show is Nick's version of the story is probably closest to the truth that we're going to get. If Gypsy would have been a participant, I don't think he would have held that information. If Gypsy would have been a participant, I don't think he would have held that information, because he could have held the information that that Gypsy told him to do it. He could have held that information. Even though it would have came out in the wash with the messages, but he could have held all of that information from them. He could have tried to protect her more, but he did not. So I feel like Nick is the closest version to the truth that we're going to get. And people just, try to make sense of it, or how can we, I really don't know. Honestly, I don't know how we can make it seem any better than what it currently is, guys. But guys, we have a great list of videos to come. And with that, I say we have tons of great videos revolving around scandals, revolving around cults, revolving around MLMs. Oh, I love a good MLM pyramid scheme. Oh, I love those. I love watching those. What else? Micah Miller, true crime, conspiracy theories, scandal, MLM, all those good things. We have a lot of good stuff coming up. So we're going to be talking about Gypsy, but we're going to venture off of Gypsy, and we're going to find other things that we can delve deep into and talk about and express ourselves. And we're going to have time to get up and reflect and talk and express ourselves. A cult somewhere in the North Carolina mountains. Do you know the name of it? Wait, let's look it up. How about that? North Carolina cult in mountains. How you doing, Doctor? Dr. Rosenberg? How are you? How are you feeling? Dr. Rosenberg? How are you feeling? Welcome to the stream, Dr. Rosenberg. Welcome to the stream. I'm so happy each and every one of you caught the stream. I was thinking about not streaming today, and I was thinking about going live on Friday, but I was like, nah, I'm going to go live today because I really, really want to, interact with my community. I really want to drive that loyalty up. I want to drive the subscribes up. I want to drive all of that up, because you start a good community with a good base, right? So if you have any ideas, email me. Because I need them. You guys, I started this channel on a to Z scandal playlist. So I covered a scandal starting with A, B, C, D, E, F, and G is where we got the Gypsy Rose, and it kind of blew up. That video blew up. So the Gypsy Rose video blew up, and that's how we went on a tangent. So we're still going back to the scandal series, but yeah, we have to hop on what's hot. We do have to hop on what's hot so we can grow. Gypsy is hot. Whoa. I mean, like her topic is hot. Whoa. a minute. Lindsay, thank you so much for the super chat. Thank you so much for the super chat. Dr. Rosenberg, yeah, I saw your comment the other day as well. Sorry, the comments are going a little bit fast, but I saw your comment the other day and you said my videos help you get through, and that's really, really, really inspiring to me. It's really inspiring to me because I never thought somebody would be saying that about me, you know? I never did. So you guys stay blessed. Email me with any topics, email me with any tea, email me with anything. Anything. Thank you for the super chat, Lindsay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you guys want to continue to talk and hang out, I'll see what I can do about setting up a Discord or some type of community chat for us. Okay? I'll see what I can do about that. I'm usually very busy, but I will get it done. Which church is that? Can you guys let me know? Which cult is this? The North Carolina cult? I live by a train, guys, so that's what that is. I live by a train, so you guys are going to hear that. Is it Word of Faith Fellowship? Yeah, I'm about to go eat my lunch and snuggle with my dog. And I'm going to think about getting a Discord started. Maybe we'll get a membership going and all my members can get in my Discord. And we can talk about topics and we can grow our Discord and do things like that. That sounds pretty fun. I was just waiting. I guess this is the one she's talking about. You guys can email me with topics. You guys can hit me up on Instagram. You guys can DM me if you guys want to talk. 12 tribes. Perfect. I'm going to put that on my video idea list. Thank you guys so much. All right, guys. This stream has been amazing. To I Have No Niche, Dr. Rosenberg, Kimberly, Mystery Girl, Soul, Lindsay, What, Oh My, Beck, Hannah, all of you, Dr. Rosenberg, One Ear Up, Honey Bun. Thank you so much. Hey, Beck, thank you for the super chat. Thank you so much, you guys. I appreciate you guys. I need to sign off. I need to get some food. I need to put a thumbnail on this because I'm gonna post it on my channel. We might get a few more views on it, but I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. We're going to 1,000. We are in the YouTube partner program. We are monetized, and we are out. All right, guys, have a great rest of your day, okay? Bye now.